helping you be safe, smart, and secure with your finances. Welcome back to Home and Family Finance with your host, Paul Berry.
And we continue with the full expectation that you are somewhere where you're probably going to experience some seasons change, some of the season changes, except for probably down in the very extreme parts of Florida or out in California. But otherwise, all of us go through the changes. And when the season changes, expenses also change because road conditions change. Autumn is upon us, and it is time for you to take a look at what the family clunker is going to cost you. Most of us, when we think about buying a car, we think about the price of the car and can I afford it? But it goes far beyond that. As my next guest can attest to, as a matter of fact, because Joe Trotta is with a company called Repairpal, which is an internet-based company, the nation's most popular auto repair estimator, conducting their help to you if you have a problem. Have you thought about, okay, I'm going to buy the car, I'm going to get this clunker, but do you think about what is a repair cost going to be? But even more importantly is what should it be? And how would I know that? And Jill, welcome to the program. If I need to know the actual cost or where it should be, I could contact you, right? Is that how it works?
Absolutely. You know, at Repairpal, we've put a lot of work into creating an estimator for consumers that is fair. So when you go on there, you put in your zip code, the year, make, and model, and it will return what a fair price for a quality shop would should charge you to do that repair.
That's fascinating, and I didn't know that you were there. So I could, if I go into a shop and they say, "Look, we think you need a water pump or a radiator or transmission work," I should, before I do that, is to reach out to you on the net and say, "What should this cost?" And where would you suggest I go? Is that how it works?
Exactly. You know, what we've done is coupled the estimator with a network of shops that we've thoroughly vetted. So you go on, you find out what that repair should be, and then you'll find the best shops in your market to do that repair. And we've checked them out. So we've checked them out to make sure that they've done their training. We've checked them out to make sure that their customer service is up to the level that it should be. Mm-hmm. And I'm the director of the automotive group, and what my job is as a 25-year industry veteran is I put my final stamp of approval on every shop we put in our network. And my final stamp of approval is, would I send my mother into that shop by herself?
Well, that's a pretty good tester, that's for sure. I'm glad you're here. Look, I think anytime there is a way that consumers can find out more than they know, meaning where they can call someone and say, how about, or in this case, go on computer and say, what should this be? Knowledge is key. Knowledge is always the important part of it. How many calls or how many people contact you on a daily basis? Do you know?
You know, I don't know on a daily basis, but I'm not very good at math. But on a monthly basis, we get between 4 and 5 million site visitors a month.
Wow.
Who come onto our site. So we are right now the largest consumer automotive repair site on the internet.
Well, as a result of that, folks, Jill and her company, they can tell you things that they can aggregate, meaning they can put together figures and things and say, okay, hybrids may be the most expensive or less. Some compacts, or what's the most spacious and affordable SUV. So let me ask a question. Let's start out with hybrids. Do these cars cost more or less to repair?
You know, in general, hybrid maintenance and repair can be less.
Wow.
You know, your upfront cost is going to be more to buy that vehicle. So you have to leverage it with, are you going to have that gas savings over the life of the vehicle, what you're going to pay extra for that vehicle. Mm-hmm. If you're driving a lot of miles, the answer is probably yes. And the cost to repair that vehicle is going to be a little bit less. You know, unless you get into bigger issues like batteries and things like that. But that usually, you know, you're plus 100,000 miles.
Right.
So the calculations that we did on the vehicles that we have on our list are for the most common repairs that you would be likely to have to do within the first 100,000 miles of ownership.
And Jill, tell me, do people think about the repair cost when they buy a car generally? What has been your history there? What do you find?
I find that people don't think about it. Especially my brother and I have this conversation all the time because he drives a lot and he buys a lot of cars. He has a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And I always point out to him, I'm sure you can afford to buy that car, but you need to make sure that you can afford to drive that car. Okay. Because a lot of luxury vehicles and expensive vehicles will lose a lot of value, like that is 10 years old, right?
Right.
But when you repair that vehicle, you're not repairing the $10,000 car that you bought. You're repairing the $60,000 car that it sold for new.
Wow, and that's a thought too. What about compacts? I know a lot of folks feel if I buy a little car, my expenses will be less. Is that true?
In general, I think that's true, but there are vehicles out there, like the Volkswagen Jetta is a really expensive vehicle to repair.
Wow.
And that would fall into that range, and it would fall into an inexpensive vehicle to buy. The Mitsubishi, I think it was one of the other compacts, the Lancer, ended up on the highest cost to repair list.
Wow.
So you really have to, do your research and know.
Right. My guess is Jill Trotter, and her company has done that. They've already done the research. So if you're looking for this information, folks, you can go to Repairpal, www.repairpal.com. When we come back, we'll tell you more about cars and the cost and what are your best buys. This is Home and Family Finance. I'm your host, Paul Berry, on the Radio America Network.